Here I'm on my Notion calendar account. On the left sidebar menu, you can see here there is a new menu, a new bar. And this is the sidebar where we can see database items from the connected Notion database. In here, they are grouped by status, and I can also edit the due date and the status in here. I can select the due date and the status from the settings menu on the pane, from the settings menu on the sidebar menu here, and then I can select change primary properties, status, and then I can select a date. The status needs to be a status type property in Notion. Otherwise, we can't pop it here. And then there needs to be a date because otherwise there is no calendar without a date. So that's why we can select the date property in here. In this case, I am using a task database. So I do have a due date, I do have a status, and I can map them here and easily change things from this side panel. Now, because I have this view of this task database grouped by status, that shows all my tasks. When I have a task in here, I can then drag and drop it into a specific time block or make it a whole day event. So if I drag and drop it in here, then I will see the time. I can adjust the timing right here. I can make it all day in here. I can change the status. I can also unschedule it from here, the 3-dot menu. So that would be the drag and drop interface to time block tasks or database items, specifically from the sidebar menu into the calendar. And here on the sidebar menu, you will see only those database items that do not have a date assigned to them. So let's go back here and go into the main side panel. And the way you connect a Notion database in Notion Calendar is by adding a Notion database. Right now, you can add any Notion database that has a date property. It doesn't matter if you have a calendar view or a timeline view in Notion. Even if you do not have any of those views in that database, as long as the database has a date property, then you can connect it in Notion Calendar. So you can see here a list of the options that I have. I can add multiple databases, of course, and then I can see them one at a time in here. I can select a view, table. Now you can see my task database in here. On the side pane, I can also add additional views. Adding additional views doesn't make a difference really. The only use of views is filters. So if you have different views in Notion, for example, if we go to task in here, there's a table view, and maybe this table view is filtered by status is doing, and you want to see only this view in Notion Calendar, then it's a good idea to connect that view. Otherwise, you can just connect any view if you do not have specific filters applied. So you will see all your database items in Notion Calendar and then play with them with the time blocks as needed. When I click on the configuration menu of the secondary side panel where there are unscheduled database items, I can change the color of that calendar because now that database is part of Notion Calendar alongside all your Google Calendar events as well, which are hidden for me in this example, just to make it clear. But if I show these calendars, then they would show in Notion Calendar, sync with Google Calendar. And in addition to those events that sync with Google Calendar, I can then also see my Notion database items time blocked specifically in days. I can set a status filter. So as long as you have a status property in the database connected in here, then you can show, for example, only incomplete database items. This sort of creates a filter in Notion Calendar as opposed to having to do it in the Notion database itself. If I manage in Notion, then this opens the Notion database that is connected to the calendar. In my case, tasks for this example. Here I can see the tasks. And then when I make an update in here, so if I schedule this task again right here, then I go back to Notion, and then I can see the time block applied to the date that is synced in Notion Calendar in here. So I can see the due date. Then if I change it in Notion, in here there is an end date as well. But let's say I don't want to have an end date. I want this to be a whole day event. Then I change the date here, and then it changes in Notion Calendar as well. So it syncs in here. I can see it on the day that I just schedule it. It is an all day event because I didn't specify a time or a duration for this task. And if I want to see objectives, then I open that database in Notion Calendar. I can close the primary sidebar menu. I can see the views connected. I can directly create a new objective in here if I like, and then make sure that the primary properties are correctly set. And I can drag and drop or change things in here. You can see also select properties are okay. So in this case, we have a select property in the objectives database, and I can change it already from here. So these properties are supported right now directly in Notion Calendar, synced from Notion. And that's it for the features that are available right now in Notion Calendar with a deeper integration with Notion databases and your entire Notion workspace. These are useful features for time blocking and for seeing everything that you need in one single place. That is, if you rely on Notion consistently to track your initiatives, projects, tasks, and other type of data that can benefit from a calendar. So this is useful if you do think of initiatives in terms of time and want to schedule things in your calendar to make sure that you execute on them consistently, hence achieving what you say that you want to achieve. Some time ago, I made a video about one possible system that you can use to time block, to schedule things, and have, for example, multiple instances of a task, multiple sessions that you can schedule in Notion Calendar on a weekly basis as part of the weekly review process, and then on a daily basis to execute on that plan. I will link the video in the description. For this video, that's it. If you want to work together, you will find a link to contact me in the description below. If you have questions, leave a comment or reach out to me. For now, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.